Hometown Ghost Stories contains serious and often distressing events and is not intended for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Hometown Ghost Stories Dark Mysteries. Today we have a case that happened in the early 1800s just outside of London in a small place that was called Hammersmith, where lots of hammered people saw ghosts and they got very scared. In fact, the whole little village went up into a frenzy about this. Mobs formed. People got, well, scared. And shot. So we're going to hop into all the details right here on Hometown Ghost Stories Dark Mysteries. I tried not to spoil it in the intro, and then I was like, I don't know where to go with it. So I spoiled it in the intro, but yes, this case is wild. Today we're talking about the Hammersmith haunting. I'm Jesse Wilkins, joined by Rob Coakley. Hello, Rob.
One of my favorite things about you, Jesse, is when we tell you to give us an overview of like anything, you just start reading us the whole book. It's just a curse of yours, and I love you for it.
I'm a talker. That's why I get paid the big bucks. Speaking of getting paid big bucks, there's Dave. Big Buck Dave, we call him.
That's what they call me. That is what they call me.
Big Buck Dave. We got new Patreon names coming already.
As if we get paid for this. Anyways, I'm Jesse Wilkins, as I said, joined by Rob Coakley and Dave, and today we're talking about the Hammersmith ghost. This case is a wild one, and we have a lot to jump into here. So, without further ado...
I think I know how they came up with the name Hammersmith. I do believe.
All right. Tell me.
Oh, I didn't think it needed to be said. They named the town after a blacksmith who made hammers. Yeah. Or made things with a hammer.
That's why that's why he's Big Buck Dave.
That's why
Big Buck, the two and two together.
Big Buck Dave with the big brain.
Big brain Dave. Yep. Anyway, so this takes place back in the winter of 1803. It was Hammersmith Village, which is about 5 miles west of London, and residents started getting scared. I believe we might have touched on this story a little bit in some sort of episode, because it does sound relatively familiar, but we'll get through it, and we're going to give you a much more in-depth version of this case if we've talked about it before. But I
bet if we did, it was a... haunted headlines.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
I bet that's it. I think we might have briefly discussed this in a haunted headlines, but now you're getting the full story. So this is in Hammersmith, just outside of London, 1803, as I just said. So people started seeing ghosts at night. They saw a particular ghost, and it was not a very scary description of a ghost. It sounded like one of those classic Halloween boo ghosts, just a sheet over a guy. But it was scaring people, and it was scaring people thoroughly. In fact, one woman was scared to death, literally. She died of fright. So things got really serious.
Yeah, the whole ghost with the sheet thing not being scary, I think it was back then.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Just because of like how it became. How it came to be is frightening because of I'm not going to step on your, if you can finish saying it.
No, you already have it, Dave. So just go. You got it. Go for it.
Because it came from the morgue, right? When they used to have the body in the morgue, they put the sheet over it, and it would, people would presume that when the ghosts came back, it would be under the morgue sheet. And I think it even came from something even scarier than that, which was sometimes post-mortem bodies would behave strangely with reflexes and gas and whatnot. And sometimes they would sit up. There's actually a condition that makes a body sit up after death. And if that happens while it has the sheet over it, that's one of the more frightening things I could even possibly imagine. So although pop culture has made it less scary with, boo ghosts and sheets and cartoon ghosts and whatnot. I think, from its inception, it was probably very scary.
But that's kind of everything that's scary, right? It just becomes a caricature of what it started off as. There's so many like watered down versions of Frankenstein's monster, of Dracula, of the Mummy, you name it. Like it starts off as this scary thing, and then it just becomes the least scary thing of all time until it comes full circle and somebody makes it scary again, usually.
Mm. Yeah, that's right.
Well, it was certainly scary enough at the time because this woman got scared to death, literally. But this wasn't the only interaction with this ghost, and it wasn't the only person that was scared by this ghost. The whole village was getting not only scared by this ghost, but assaulted. People were reporting that the apparition would seize them and grab them. It would leave this cold grip and bruises on their flesh. It would grab people so tightly, and people were freaking out. There was people would try to punch the ghost, and they said that they would feel like, I was reading a report that said that they would feel like when they hit it, they would feel the cloth, right? Like the sheet that it was wearing, but there wouldn't be like a body behind it. So there was some pretty scary reports. So people are getting assaulted by this ghost, and they started trying to figure out who was this ghost. So they settled on one likely source, which was the ghost of a man who had taken his own life the previous year. Now, back in the day, and I'm sure maybe some churches still believe this, where if you took your own life, you couldn't be buried in the church cemetery. So this was a rule. And because you self-terminated, you couldn't be on consecrated ground. That was pretty much the rule. They belonged at like the crossroads, like outside of the church cemetery. We saw certain cemeteries that were dedicated to people that weren't allowed because of the manner of their death. We've seen this all throughout the world, not just in England. That was the church law and ancient belief. And somehow he managed to get buried at St. Paul's churchyard anyways. So people had figured that because he ended up with the rules aside, they decided to bury him in the churchyard anyways, despite the manner of his death. They think that's why his soul became restless. Basically, they're thinking that because it's on holy ground, the holy ground was like, you're not supposed to be here. You're a ghost now. Go wander around. And so that was the ghost that they thought was haunting and basically terrorizing the entire village. So this is kind of what they all settled on. Not everybody. I'm sure other people had different theories. I'm sure some people thought it was just a hoax and things like that. But regardless, panic started to spread, as does happen at such times in small villages. And this wasn't just panic. People weren't just worried about it. They literally had armed patrols that were being formed, little vigilante mobs that were arming themselves and just roaming around trying to find this ghost with their guns. Because you know what you do to get rid of ghosts? You shoot them.
That's right. Well, the other thing I was thinking of too is, if it's a sheet ghost, it could be a scary thing, especially if you're punching it and there's no body inside. Also, if it's just a crazy dude running around in a sheet attacking people, that's also very scary. Imagine that. Just some guy with a sheet over his head runs out of the woods and attacks you. That's frightening. And in that case, a gun would be effective.
Yes, that would do the trick.
I also think that for our investigations, we should hire our Patreon members to be our active militia to surround the building that we're investigating.
Good idea.
No problem having armed security at all times.
No, but I want them as armed militia from like the 1800s. So they have, that's as advanced weaponry as they can have. Pitchforks, axes, and a blunderbuss. Yes, exactly.
That should be the cost of admission for all the free patrons that we have.
They have to get shot by a blunderbuss?
No. What a thing to say.
Monsters. What is the plural of blunderbuss? Would it be blunderby?
I think it would be blunderbusses, or just blunderbuss.
It would just be buses, actually.
Just buses.
Yeah, they brought some buses.
Bussin', blunderbussin'.
Killed by bussin'.
Not bad. So, January 3rd, 1804, a man by the name of Francis Smith. He was an excise officer. He joined the watch after leaving the pub. So everybody knows that it's a good idea. So around 11 p.m., he was near Black Lion Lane, and he spotted a figure approaching.
I'm sure he did.
Oh, yeah. This figure was tall, pale, and luminous in the moonlight. White linen trousers, freshly laundered, a white flannel waistcoat, a white apron draped around his body, and also a thick layer of white dust.
What is white flannel?
That's what I was wondering.
I don't know. That's what it's described as, a white flannel waistcoat.
Because I've seen flannel in lots of different colors, never white.
Never. Yep.
I mean, I've had a white and black flannel, like the checkered, but like an all white.
Yeah, that could never be confused for a white flannel, though.
Right.
Yep. So to Smith, this was clearly not a man. This must have been the ghost.
Yeah.
And
sounds like a man.
Or a light post. If he was drinking
"Stop!
enough.
Stop or I'll shoot!" And the figure didn't stop, and he really didn't give him much time. He shot him immediately. And the blast tore through the night, and the ghost crumpled and fell to the ground. Turns out it was Thomas Millwood, a 32-year-old plasterer who was walking home from work in the very clothes of his trade. The white dust was plaster. And Millwood had been warned by several people. I guess his sister was one of them, and maybe his landlady as well. And they said, like, hey, you need to change your clothes when you're leaving work because you look like the ghost that everyone is hunting currently, because you're wearing all white because you're a plasterer and you're covered in dust, and people are going to think that you're a ghost.
Just out of curiosity, was the guy that shot him, did he happen to be a painter?
No, this was Francis Smith. Oh,
just wondering.
You guys have ongoing beef with plasterers?
Sometimes.
Yeah. All right.
We get blamed for a lot of their shit. Anyways, I digress.
You ever blame them for being a ghost and terrorizing the local neighborhood?
No, but actually, let me write that down. It's a good one.
Have you ever painted a room white flannel?
Might have to now.
So there was one incident before this shooting that that had led to people warning him about this, and that was he was walking home from work a few nights before, and a horse and carriage was riding by, and there was a group of people there, and one of the people just points out and goes, "Oh, there's your ghost." And Millwood was irritated, and he snapped back at them, and he was like, "How would you like a punch in the head?" It's something that I've never heard from a ghost. But
it's so weird that it's so weird what parts of conversations make it all the way through history, hundreds of years.
Yeah,
like that line somehow just transcends history for whatever reason.
Like that's what you're known for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Also, I don't blame this dude. Like after you've worked all day and you're covered in all that stuff, you don't want to change at work and then go home, right? You just want to get out of there. And I don't think England even had bathtubs or showers until 2021, probably, from what I understand. So I don't think that he was showering when he got. So I think it's I get it. Like I know like he's warned, but it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, that sucks. I don't feel like doing that. I'll do that when I get home.
Yeah.
Possibly.
But throw on, like, I don't know, throw on a coat, throw on anything.
Dust off. It's dust. Just dust off.
Yeah, but he's wearing white flannel. He's just wearing all white anyways. What does it matter if he gets the dust off of him?
Fair.
My favorite witness, and I don't have the exact name of him here. It was one of the guys whose job it was to yell out the time, which is, I believe it was called a knocker-upper, which has an interesting name. Knocker-uppers.
Okay.
I think when he applied for that job and then like on his first day, he was disappointed.
And it's like, where are all the women? No, but like their job, I think it was mostly like, this is like a human alarm clock where in the morning you'd be like, it's 9 a.m.
They didn't have
It is now 9 a.m. But I don't know. Maybe he was working late. It's 1 a.m.
Oh my
Go
God,
to bed.
I would
Time for
shoot
sleep.
that guy.
Someone did.
No. This wasn't him. I believe he was one of the witnesses, but I couldn't find a second source on it. But it was still knocker upper. That's what a job title. Sadly, one of those jobs that was lost to time.
It's so funny, like, because on our latest paranormal update, we got a comment from somebody from the UK when we were talking about hospital gowns and how we call them Johnny's hair.
Yeah.
And this listener, I think it was Kegsy, if I remember correctly, but I can't remember offhand, said that they were laughing so hard because a Johnny in England is a condom. and they work in the medical field. So if they had went into a room and told one of their patients to put on a Johnny, they would get looked at. Like they're insane. So.
That makes me think of, I don't even know what this scene was from, but there was a hilarious scene with Daniel Radcliffe and Ricky Gervais where they're like out to eat. And I'll send you guys the clip because I don't even know what it was from. I'm assuming some sort of a comedy show with Ricky Gervais, but it might have been from a movie, but basically like Daniel Radcliffe, like fresh out of Harry Potter days, because he was young in this clip, he like unrolls a Johnny's and he's like, I got plans. And Ricky Gervais is just like, he's like, oh, you already have it unraveled. He's like, yep. And he snaps it and it like flings backwards and lands on this like old lady's head behind. He's like, could I have my Johnny back? He's like, please. Can I have my Johnny back, please? Anyways, that's my only Johnny story from the UK, but that's a funny one.
It's pretty good. Well, we know the knocker-upper didn't need a Johnny.
That's right. But,
that's true.
Yeah. It's time for bed. It is now 11 o'clock. What a job. Anyways.
Who's paying him?
It's public service, okay?
The state, yeah.
Yeah. So he had realized that he shot Thomas Millwood, who ended up being a plasterer. And, you know, he didn't take the warnings from his sister and his landlady to not wear his plastering clothes home from work and stop looking like a damn ghost, and it got himself shot. So he got arrested and he turned himself in. He actually felt really guilty when he realized that he actually shot a person. Yeah, so he basically explained to the court, I can only declare that I went out with a perfectly good intention. The judge was unmoved by
his perfectly good intention was going and getting hammered at the pub and then walking around with a gun to shoot a ghost.
Is that such a crime?
This is why England banned guns.
It's one of the reasons. So the judge basically wasn't hearing it, and he instructed the jury firmly, I should betray my duty and injure the public security. I did not persist in asserting that this is a clear case of murder, if the facts be proven to your satisfaction, he added. However, disgusted the jury might feel in their own minds with the abominable person guilty of the misdemeanor of terrifying the neighborhood, the prisoner had no right to construe such a misdemeanor into a capital offense or to conclude that a man dressed in white was a ghost. So the jury, and this is kind of against the rules, they came back and they were like, listen, it's manslaughter. And the judge was like, that isn't an option. It's either murder or innocent of murder. He's either guilty or not guilty of murder. We never said this could be misdemeanor. And the jury's like, all right, then we'll go back and decide one time.
I don't think manslaughter would be a misdemeanor, but it's weird how
did I call it a misdemeanor?
I think the second time you said misdemeanor.
Yes.
But
that's my fault. I meant to say manslaughter.
Right. It is weird, like in a lot of cases, how the prosecution does get the charge wrong. And it's like, how can you logically say that this particular thing is manslaughter or murder when it's clearly manslaughter? So it's like, it's almost like if you charge them with murder and the jury says, but it wasn't murder, it was manslaughter, you're not going to find him guilty of murder. You're going to find him not guilty, and then they skate on the manslaughter charge. So it happens a lot.
You'd think so. Not in this case. So basically the judge was adamant. He's like, go back and decide. You're either going to acquit him or that. And he even told him, he's like, the belief of a ghost could not excuse deadly force against an unarmed man who really posed no threat, because they had brought up the I don't know how it works in Britain, but the state had basically brought up that he gave him really no time. He's like, stop right there. And then he immediately shot him. Like, he didn't really give him a chance to explain himself. He just thought he saw the ghost and he shot the guy. So either way, the jury came back and they found him guilty of murder. And the guy, he was really remorseful on the stand. I was reading accounts that, like, basically he had to be like held up just to stand up, not because he was still shit-faced, but because he was just so upset. He was really like full of grief and showed great remorse. And I think a lot of people were shocked that the jury found him guilty of murder, but the case is still the case. Like, you just shot this guy. Whether or not you feel bad after the fact doesn't change the fact that you went out there with the intent to shoot this ghost, and you shot him. And just because you thought it was a ghost doesn't excuse the fact that you murdered a man.
Yeah.
Also, he wasn't even wearing sure, he's wearing white. Like this, you just saw the first person wearing white. You're like, boom. Like, that's, jump to conclusions.
Well, I thought he was a ghost defense would never and could never hold up in any court anywhere, just because in order to prove that you believed it was a ghost, you'd have to demonstrate that ghosts could possibly exist, which, say what you want, it's not falsifiable. So it's never going to hold up in court.
Right. I mean, I would have. This was like a very back and forth case where there was because it wasn't just him that was out hunting the ghost. There was whole mobs every night out searching for this ghost that's terrorizing this place, and they all had intentions to shoot this ghost. But it just didn't change the fact that it's like, well, you're the only one that actually killed a person over this. So
I don't get the mentality, though, based on what our thoughts are about ghosts, that the idea is to form a mob to go shoot it.
Right. Either you believe it's a ghost or you believe it's somebody dressed as a ghost attacking people.
That's my problem with it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Right. So maybe he could have had a better case if he wasn't saying, I thought this was a ghost. You don't even really have a strong case if you say, I think it's the person that was going to attack someone. It matched the description of a person that was attacking someone. But still on self-defense.
If your defense is, I thought it was a ghost, then why are you shooting it?
Yeah.
Right.
You didn't think it was a ghost.
Yeah. It's not going to work. And this isn't even the first case. Sorry. This isn't even the first case where we've had people shoot at ghosts.
No. Nope. We've had it
Sorry,
before.
you were going to say something, Rob?
I was going to say that exact thing. Okay. This isn't the first time we've had a case where they're shooting at ghosts, and it's just like, dude, like, yeah, ghosts are scary. I get scared when we do investigations. My thought is never like, I can harm this being, if there is a being there, with any sort of physical anything. No. Right? Whether it's a shot, a punch, or a kick, or whatever.
No, agreed. But the difference, because they're not all the same story. There are people that go out and actively try to hunt down the ghost to kill it. That's stupid.
Right.
Just kill it. Like, doesn't even make sense. And then there are people that happen to have a gun, aren't expecting a ghost, and a ghost pops out and says boo, and their reaction is poof, so that's a little different.
Right. Yeah. Those are two different things. But yeah, actively hunting a ghost with any sort of weapon or intents to like present physical harm to it is just like next level insane to me, based on what we think ghosts are capable of, which is essentially being able to go through anything, right? Like there's no way to touch or harm them in any capacity from what we think we know. So like to jump to that conclusion to hunt them down is insane.
Unless the weapon of choice is a proton pack with a neutrino wand.
But even there, right? Like, at least there's logic to that they were testing how to actually use something that would be effective on a ghost.
Yeah, we never saw the Ghostbusters walk around with blunderbusses. I'm sorry, blunderby.
Bussin'.
So, yeah, we didn't see them bussing around.
Ghost bussing.
So, nice. That's pretty good. Not bad at all, sir. So it gets worse. It gets worse for this man.
The dead guy?
You know what's funny about the dead guy?
Now he is a ghost.
That was a weird way to frame it, but yes. So when he got shot, do you want to take a wild guess where they brought his body?
Yeah, I do. Hang on. What's into the bar?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was like the Black Lion pub or something along those lines, which is now said to be haunted by his ghost. But that's like a whole different story. We don't have time to go into that one.
That's just
like,
yeah, dude. That's damn it. That's it's like ghost inception.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So they brought him there to in like the corner, and the surgeons were there trying to save him, and that's where they did it. I don't know, but that's where they were.
That makes more sense, right? If he was shot dead in the street and he's clearly just dead, bringing him into the bar would be kind of weird. But if he was bleeding out and they're trying to save him, that makes more sense.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah,
I've been reading a lot of stuff about places we're going to over in the UK, and every pub that I've looked into, like, they brought 4 bodies into here one night just to like keep them there. And I'm just like, why? Why are we doing this?
It gets worse for Millwood.
Do you think his ghost was super annoyed too at the bar? Like he's just leaning up against the bar. He's like, "Well, you're not going to shoot me now? Now that I actually am a ghost?"
Want me to do some of your plastering? Anyway, so Judge Lord Chief Baron Sir Archibald MacDonald.
No.
Yep.
There's 2. Say that name again.
Judge Lord Chief Baron Sir Archibald MacDonald.
No.
Judge, Lord, and Chief. He's got to have all of the titles.
And Sir. In the middle of it.
Using like Daenerys.
Yeah, right.
Breaker of chains.
King of the Andals.
Ruler of the 7 kingdoms. Judge Lord Chief Baron Sir Archibald MacDonald. Why
not doctor? Like, why not?
Because he's not a doctor, Dave.
He's the only one he left out.
He probably was. So he found him guilty of murder. Well, the jury did, but he sentenced him to death by hanging. But it gets worse. Because at the time, in London in 1804, if you were guilty of murder, a criminal of this degree, they would also let you know that they are going to dissect your body afterward, and you weren't going to get that proper burial. They're just going to cut you up into little pieces and study your body and study your brain, figure out why you would shoot plasters in the middle of the night after leaving the pub. That was the fate, and he was very much not happy with this.
It could have been worse. A couple hundred years earlier, they wouldn't have even killed him first. They would have just cut him to pieces.
Right. Yep. But there's a bit of a happy ending for Millwood. So January 13th, 1804, the case goes all the way up to King George III, and he looks over the case and was like, you know what? We're going to commute the sentence. He'll have 1 year hard labor. He served his time and then he was released. So no hanging, no dissecting, murder, 1 year of hard labor. And that was it.
And all of that was in like 11 days. Because I think you started this with that shooting was on like January 3rd or something.
Yeah, he shot him on January 3rd, was found guilty and sentenced to death between January 11th to 13th. Sounds like there was a couple of days of deliberating or something along those lines. And then right after that, the case sounds like immediately got up to King George III, and he commutes the sentence. He says, no, don't hang this man. Don't dissect his body.
They moved quick.
He's just trying to protect his community. They did move quick. But this wasn't really the end of the hauntings. So there were more hauntings that were reported, and in and around Hammersmith, people started seeing the ghost again. Obviously, him shooting this random plasterer wasn't the end of the ghost. And then, eventually, reports of this ghost got more and more horrifying. They started reporting that it had claws for hands. They started reporting that it had horns. They were reporting that it was scaling walls and climbing up buildings and trees. It was some horrifying stuff. And here's a point that...
Shoot that ghost.
Yeah, shoot that one. So eventually there was an elderly shoemaker named John Graham who confessed. He said that he had been pranking his apprentice, and the reason was his apprentice had scared his own children with ghost stories. So don't do this to us. We play disclaimers. We played a disclaimer. We're not guilty of scaring your kids. Stop showing your kids our videos if they're not ready for them. So this elderly shoemaker was wearing a white sheet and lurking in the churchyard. And this was what led to the patrols being formed, the fatal shooting eventually. So he had admitted to it. And I don't think he's guilty of all of it. It sounds to me like there's a bunch of pranksters involved here, because I don't think the elderly man is scaling the side of a building and climbing up trees. That doesn't sound like him.
I don't think anybody was. I think that's just people telling the story at that point.
Yeah. So
yeah, but his original idea was like, I'm going to scare this guy by going to scare other guys.
Yeah, right.
About 20 years later, the ghost sightings evolved in Hammersmith, which included fire-breathing versions of this ghost.
It's just turning into a dragon.
So this is the Hammersmith ghost, and it is, you have the Black Lion pub, which is still said to be haunted to this day, probably by a different ghost. And the ghost sightings persisted for upwards of 20 years after the initial panic. But it seems like it kind of faded over time. Multiple dead bodies with this one. So the shooting is absolutely confirmed. The old woman, I couldn't really find too much documentation on her actual death. That might be more of a legend, but it stirred up. This is what kind of kicked off the hysteria, was that some lady was scared literally to death. So whether or not that actually happened, maybe she just had a heart attack and maybe they attributed that to the haunting. I don't know. But it led to a level of hysteria that I wasn't expecting. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, for sure. If you're the guy, the shoemaker there, and you're trying to prank your apprentice, and then it eventually results in a woman being frightened to death and a plasterer being shot and a man almost being executed and dissected for science, I think you take that to the grave. I think you don't. I think you shut the fuck up about it.
Maybe he was doing the right thing, where he was saying, like, listen, it was me. I was just trying to get back at this guy for scaring my kids. Everyone calm the fuck down and stop shooting people. Yeah. Maybe he was trying, please calm down and stop killing blokes out on the streets. Maybe that's what he said.
Yeah, maybe. Black Lion, that guy. Black Lion pub in Hammersmith, still open.
Looks awesome too.
I don't think we'll be near it.
We might pass by it on our way to the airport.
Yeah, that's probably. Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see.
We will have to see.
We might be there right now if you're listening. You might be listening. We might actually be there right this second.
We may have came home 5 years ago, depending on when you're listening.
I have no idea when this is going to be posted.
Dave is on the street right now, fist fighting plasterers to save the village.
Dave was so happy with this plasterer got shot. You guys have no idea.
Dave's finally. Someone had to do it. I just really want to find out who the knocker-upper was.
Yeah.
It is now approaching midnight. It's midnight. All is well in the village. It is midnight. Tomorrow there will be a hanging followed by a dissection, unless King George III ruins all the fun. 1 year of hard labor for shooting a plasterer. It was just a plasterer after all.
I'm excited that we're going to probably drink at a pub, and then Jesse's going to do this outside at midnight.
Oh, every hour on the hour. I'm out there. Oh, 10 p.m. now. 10 p.m. in the village. King George III has been dead for hundreds of years. He cannot stop the public hanging tomorrow. On the morrow. I'll get ready for 1 week of me doing that nonstop. I am excited.
Hell yeah.
Well, that was a hell of a story, Jesse.
Yeah. I do 100% think that we've covered it very briefly in one of the haunted headlines. But you know how the haunted headlines go when we do those is we get 4 sentences and then we just have to guess the rest of the story. So here is the rest of the story on that one, much more in depth on.
And if we
Hammersmith ghost.
If we did happen to guess the rest of that story, I bet we got it wrong.
No,
probably
we probably would have got that right.
Yeah. Then a plasterer got shot.
Honestly, I was researching the story. I was like, that's crazy. Some lady got scared to death. I never thought another person was going to die in this story. Like, that was wild. So
I will say, if we were guessing the story, there's a good chance we would have got the name of the pub right. Because half the pubs I've looked at it over there is like the red line in, the black line in, the green line in.
But every single one of them, I'm like, that's the coolest name of a pub I've ever heard. And then I hear the next one, I'm like, also that one. Yeah. So
yeah, we have to go to the red line in when we're over there. Or we already did if you've ever listening.
Gotta stop doing this.
Anyways, that'll pretty much do it. What are your thoughts on the Hammersmith ghost? Was it a real ghost? Is it scaling walls and breathing fire and climbing trees and having claws and squeezing people in the middle of the night? You tell me. Did it scare a woman to death?
Yes.
Yes. Do you think 1 year of hard labor was a little soft for a literal murder?
Probably.
That's what I think.
Ever heard of a plasterer getting shot by a plastered?
On the turntables. Look at that. Anyways, that'll pretty much do it for this week's Hometown Ghost Stories Dark Mystery, the Hammersmith Ghost. Let us know what you think in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys on Tuesday for a live episode of Hometown Ghost Stories.
Peace.